Hi guys, Bartek here. Welcome to another episode. In this episode, I will show you a third version of my B-box. There's a pile of plywood sheets, some prepared wood. But before we get started, it is a third prototype. I hope it's the last one. The very first was wrong because it was too small. The internal dimension was too precise that I didn't count that wood will expand so much in the height in the box. So if I would like to, sorry for my dog. So when I wanted to put 10 frames into the box and I measured that one frame is 1 inch, 25 millimeters, then the 10 millimeters spacing multiplied by 10 plus 1, and that was the size of the box that I made, and it was too small. In the version number 2 I prepared a frame template. I placed handles on the wrong spot, the wrong place, but that's the minor issue. So that's the frame that I made, the template that I made for frames. The idea was to make as simple as possible. This looks nice. I mean, this is one piece of wood, yeah, with some cuts here and there. This is template for the top and the bottom. Actually, it's that way. Yeah, so that's the template for the bottom cuts. That's the template for the bottom part of the box, and everything seems to be fine. I mean, there are no nails, no glue here, no glue here. You know, just pure cut. But this has one huge disadvantage, at least two. Doing all these cuts is pretty time consuming, and I had to prepare tops and bottoms separately, just because the shape of the top and shape of the bottom are different. And the second very cumbersome issue is that it requires a miter cut. I decided to make the third version. This is still a wood from my dog's playpen. The last pieces of the old wood. It's very dry, but this is not about this. So the whole idea is that all four pieces are exactly the same. The same dimension, the same length, width, height, everything is the same. And here is a face to the side. Again, face to side, face to side, face to side. So there's no miter cut needed. And that's for the bottom and for the top. They are exactly the same on this level. I also prepared 1 centimeter pieces. I will use them for the two purposes. At the bottom, I will nail them around. Of course, they will be shorter than this. I didn't trim them yet because they will be trimmed to the final dimension here, and the same here. So that's the extra work. Maybe I will use glue, not much, because bees will take care of it anyway. They have great glue. Yeah, so that's how the bottom will look like. But on the top, I will use exactly the same 1 centimeter, but there will be a little bit off, more or less like this. So on the outer side, I will get the same result as I have here. So the outer will make a place for the next box, and here I will have a place for frames. Also, there's the square. So even I used only the cold setup for my frames, I would be able to use the warm setup if I want. I prepared two type of supports. This is 3x3 and this is 4x3. So it will be like this one, and it should be fine. Okay. Yeah, with this 1 centimeter here and the bottom. To make one box, I need 8 pieces, 3x3, 41 centimeters length. There will be tops and the bottoms. For the bottoms, I choose the not good looking pieces. And for the supports, 4 pieces 3x4 and also 4 pieces 3x3. Frame of the first box is done. I prepared those sheets of plywood for the internal walls. Those are trimmed to the correct length as well. So those have length of that side minus thickness, more or less, of the plywood. But the outer sheets, they have a length of the full length of the box plus 4 millimeters. Here I have those 4 centimeter support. So I will start from that side. Yes, I can nail it. Then next one. The same, I can nail it. Yeah, so that's how it will be. I will not glue it, just nail it. I will use 25 millimeters nails. They are way too long, but because my previous experience with the quality of this plywood isn't good. Here I have shorter. There are 10 millimeters shorter nails, and the depth, so they penetrate the wood way less than those. So even I reduced the pressure for my nail gun. If I will use longer nails with the reduced pressure, it shouldn't go through the plywood. That's what was the case previously. So that's the only reason why I will use 25 millimeter, so 1 inch nails. And fun fact, maybe someone maybe it will be helpful for some of you. Makita 25 millimeters nails and Metabo are exactly the same. It's a Metabo SKN25NK. They're exactly the same, just a different package. And start nailing. Some sides seems to be a little bit too high, but overall I'm quite happy. It's the next day. I added top frame to be compatible with the bottom frame. It is double painted and handles are added. That's the size of my frame that I use for this. So as you can see, there is a little bit of space, which makes working with it more comfortable. It's square, so I can set up my bees in any direction I want. Also, I can stack them and rotate as I want. Yeah, that was it all. Here it's a framing as well, not painted. It's a waterproof paint, but the inside is raw, just plywood, nothing else. Now I need to make two bottom plates. They have to be done for tomorrow. I'm almost happy with the previous version. I will just need to make one small adjustment for a fastening tape. So I will just make it's very short. I will prepare all pieces for two of them, I mean two bottoms, and I will show you the small improvement. I hope it will be improvement to the bottoms, and that's it. Let's get started. Here we have two gates. They are very simple in construction. Can be easily open. This part can be replaced. You can open one, two, if needed. There's some traffic jam on the gateway. Or you would like to make a bigger ventilation or whatever. Yeah, we can also close it. There's a ventilation at the bottom, at the back. I will show you in a second. Because it's a pretty high bottom, and frames will be 1 centimeter above that surface. So there will be a huge gap between the bottom of the frame and bottom of the bottom, and that would cause the wild structure that the bees are preparing. That's why I've got that piece. There are 6 millimeter plywood. There are 2 supports inside. Yeah, so that prevents bees from doing the wild structures, but there is still a lot of air between the frames and the bottom. So that's how the front look like. I painted it's a waterproof plywood, but I did a painting of the edges just in case. It's also waterproof paint, so let's hope it will survive a bit longer. So let me show you how it looks like from the bottom. Not bottom, but from the back. Okay. Here you can see that the size of the box of the bottom is more or less the same as the top of the box. It can be equally the same. So that's the back of the hive. I do review of my bees from the back side, from that side. And here there's a locking mechanism. It's very simple. That's also one of the purposes to do this. Hollow bottom, same as the box, can be built using simple tool. I used table saw, but it can be used. It can be done by using circular saw or any kind of saw you have. Maybe not the job saw or miter saw, because sometimes you need to cut longer boards. But it doesn't require any fancy tools. So here's a locking mechanism. Now it's open. Yes. So now we have access. That's the locking mechanism. It's a piece of 4mm plywood on a screw, and I have access to the whole bottom, and I can do review or clean up wherever I need. Here is a wooden frame. I made it from the wood, solid wood, not from the plywood, from a very simple reason. Plywood is very durable, but it's also very flexible. And I have one where the frame was done from the 12mm plywood, and it's a pain. I need to replace it because it's bending, it's doing weird things. Yeah, so here there's a double side. There's just one. The purpose of it is because here is just where we lock against another 4mm plywood. So that's why it's doubled, to be able to off that support for the outer plywood. This is the nest, stainless steel. I guess it could be regular steel and bees wouldn't care anyway. But for me, I used stainless steel here. It's glued and nailed from the top. There's a 6mm distance because this hatch has 4mm, so there are 6mm to make this small room for to make it easier to use. Also, I did this indent too big here, but that 6mm should be flush at the bottom. So then, when you close it, like this, yeah. So now it's locked from that side. Put it here and locked. Yeah, so the idea is that when the 6mm inside is flush, then you can push it to the end. Now, as you can see, it's a little bit off. So it is locking just a bit. So you need to little bit put it up. Okay. So now it is locked. Inside there is a blocking plywood that also keeps the two sides together and makes that piece of plywood, which is support for the bottom part of the box. So it makes stronger, but also it prevents from pushing it into the hive. Also, it is flexible, but you can trust me, it is pretty solid. The improvement from the previous version is this piece. I doubled in that small pieces, in this small area, I doubled 18mm plywood it's covered by those 4mm, and that's the space for the fastening tape that I use to put all the pieces together and fasten them to supporting beams. So that's actually it from the bottom. Yeah, it's a square. So yeah, and still having all stack, I can review what is going on inside on the hive if I need to. So I guess there's nothing to add. I need to install them on my bee farm, maybe today, but it's pretty windy, so we will see. Swarm was already leaving a hive more or less an hour ago, so I need to hurry a bit. But the weather is not great. But that seems to be the very last prototype, and I will continue that structure, that pattern. Thanks for watching and keep up the good work. See you next time.